What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Misadventures in Startups with me, Topher Peterson. This is the first episode of 2020, so Happy New Year to everybody out there. On today's episode, I want to talk about Hatchways.io. It is it's a YC startup from the summer 2019 batch, so I guess that's the latest batch. Or maybe winter 2020 is going on now. But I guess it's the last batch that's like launched and whatnot. I'm not sure how I heard about these guys. I think maybe it was from like looking through the like YC list of companies. But this is what Hatchways, this is what sort of their mission statement is. Hatchways helps new grads, self-taught programmers, and career shifters get their first job as a software engineer by evaluating your skills, providing tailored feedback, and setting up interviews with tech startups for you. I myself am a self-taught developer. I kind of started learning how to code back in 2014 with the whole learn to code movement, which is now I guess turned into a meme that's taken on other meanings. And I happen to follow a lot of YouTubers where their entire channel is devoted to how to get your first job as a developer. In particular, I follow Joshua Fluke. He has a pretty interesting channel where he actually like goes on Indeed and LinkedIn and stuff and talks to recruiters and whatnot. And I also follow this guy named Coding Phase, and he has a really good channel where he talks about mainly how to get a job as like a front-end web developer. Even though he has some courses on other stuff, like I think he has like a React Native course and maybe some mobile stuff, but primarily he's into front-end web, I think. So I know this is kind of a big topic. There was this whole learn to code movement. All these people learned how to code. Now, how to get your first job doing it. And then another quick little backstory into this. This is my own Joshua Fluke style story from what just happened about, 15, 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. I just got off the phone from an awful interview with a recruiter that's hiring React Native developers. I think it was for like Sam's Club. And tech stack wise, I think I was a really good fit for the job. I thought the interview was going very well. It was like a phone interview. And then at the end, she was like, "Great, I need to schedule you for a technical interview with one of their technical consultant people that they, I guess, paid money to do these tech screenings for them. It's going to be on either Android or iOS." Now, this is a React Native job that I'm applying to, but they're going to give me either an Android or iOS specific like technical interview. I mean, I can understand asking like a few questions, on that. But I thought that was a little bit ridiculous. I'm applying to a React Native job. And so I was like a little, on the phone, I was kind of like, ugh. We were trying to schedule a time for my tech interview, and I was like, that's kind of asking a candidate a lot. They're like, "Hey, we're hiring for this React Native job. Will you go and like relearn Android for this, technical interview?" Where you could take the technical interview and they might be like, "Nah, we don't like you. You're no good." So I think that's asking too much of a candidate. It's like kind of ridiculous. So I don't know. The recruiter got a little huffy with me on the phone, like I was taking up too much of her time. When she was asking me to do kind of an extraordinary thing, like, "Hey, can you go relearn Android over the weekend and take this test?" So anyway, this interview that I had today didn't go very well. I kind of got upset and I told the woman that I wasn't interested, which brings me to Hatchways. I was kind of trying to, this whole job hunt thing is really taking a toll on me. I love programming. I think I'm pretty good at it. But job hunting is a nightmare. And it's like I said earlier, that guy Joshua Fluke, he's kind of built his whole channel on this nightmare of dealing with these recruiters and whatnot. So, wanted to go ahead and take a look here at Hatchways and see, is there a better way? Can you get around the HR gatekeepers and recruiters that waste your time by just taking a straightforward, simple test on the internet. So let's get to it. All right, so let's get logged in here. Now, from what I recall, they have 2 different assessments that you could take. And this is what kind of drew my attention, because it's a really practical kind of test. It's not both of the tests are very practical, and they're fairly technology agnostic. Like, they have a lot of different options. So for the front end test, what do they have? And I plan on taking the back end test because I've been doing a lot of Python and Flask. But if you're into JavaScript, they've got Node and Express. If you're kind of have a corporate background, they've got Java and Spring. They've got Ruby on Rails. And for this here, we'll talk about the back-end assessment. So I think you just kind of make an API. So it says the goal of this assessment is to test your back-end development skills. The objective is to write a simple JSON API. Your assessment will be graded based on the clarity of your code, its extensibility, how efficient the code is, and how fast you're able to write it. Your submission takes into consideration how long it takes you to complete it. You're welcome to submit it at any point. However, completing it in less than 24 hours increases your chances of being considered part of our next interview cycle. So if you think about what that recruiter asked me to do today, it was probably more than 24 hours worth of work, to go and like relearn Android. This, they're giving you a lot of options. And it's not like you're interviewing for a Flask job, but they're going to give you a test on Spring, like they're going to, I don't know. Sorry, I'm a little salty over this interview earlier. Okay. But the startup is kind of asking me to do the same thing that this recruiter wanted me to do. So I don't think that's totally unreasonable to ask somebody to take a test or something like that. So that's the back-end test. You make like a JSON API with your back-end language of choice. They don't have everything, but they have a lot of things. And they've got a front-end assessment. And I think I might end up doing both. The front-end assessment says, the goal of this assessment is to test your front-end development skills. The objective is to replicate a front-end application as close to possible. You're allowed to use any front-end framework. So React.js, Vue.js, or just use plain old JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Your assessment will be graded based on the completion of your assessment, blah, blah, blah. Your submission takes into consideration how long it takes you to complete it. All right, and it says there are 5 parts to the assessment. To complete the later parts of the assessment, it will be very beneficial to use a modern front-end framework. So I'm kind of into React, so I'll probably do it in React. And I don't think they're going to specify that you have to use Redux or something like that, which I guess you could. And here's a breakdown of the second assessment. So they want you to fetch data from a JSON API. They want you to style the app with some CSS, create a text field, filter the list of data. So I don't know exactly what that means. That's probably going to be maybe the hardest part. Display more information about the data fetched and create expandable views. So I guess maybe collapsible kind of stuff. And create text inputs for each item in the list. Be able to save information inputted from the data. So to me, this sounds like the front end assessment actually sounds harder than the back end one. But let's see. And I'm not going to show, I have no idea if this is going to lead to a job or not. I just thought it'd be kind of interesting content for my channel. But I'm not going to show my code, obviously. I don't want people to cheat on this. But I don't think it's, terrible to show like what the assessment is. Anybody could log in and see what this is. Let's hit start. As soon as you start, we will be timing your assessment. This assessment will take several hours to complete. It is suggested you begin at your desktop. All right. Some time on your hand. I got that. Please note the candidate's current employment status is taken into consideration when evaluating the time it takes to complete assessments. All right, so if you're a bum, like myself, they want you to finish it more quickly than someone that's employed. Fair enough. Let's begin. All right, back-end assessment blog posts. Read the instructions in the link below. The assessment is to be completed on your computer and submitted through our platform. Alright, so there's the instructions. Submit assessment. It has been 0 minutes since you started this. You can submit the assessment below using the form below. Once you submit, you will be allowed to submit again. Alright, your submission takes into consideration how long it takes you to complete it. You're welcome to submit at any point, however, completing it. Alright, they already said that. Upload a compressed folder, so they want you to upload a zip. Drag and drop the zip. Instructions. In this assessment, you will write a simple backend JSON API. If you notice something is not working, like the API or any of the links in this document, please contact hello@hatchways.io. This assessment will be evaluated based on the following criteria. Completion. Did you complete all the steps? Does each part work properly? This is the most important criterion. Please note that we mark for completion automatically. Therefore, it's your job to ensure all the routes, parameters, and responses are named and formatted correctly. Okay, so I guess they're going to test the thing. They're going to tell you what endpoints to create. Fundamentals. Is your code efficient? Probably not. Do you use the appropriate data structures? Absolutely not. Code organization and quality. How organized is your solution? Not organized. Testing. Did you write some tests for the solutions? How's the coverage? What? I thought this was... Okay, so I'm going to point out this is something that I don't like here. This is something that someone that's professional and has had experience developing for a company would know how to do. You're not going to probably be writing unit tests if you're self-taught. See, look, we help new grads, self-taught programmers, and career... So I'm going to give them like maybe a thumbs down on that one. I think that's kind of goes against the whole point of their mission statement. But speed, they want you to do it fast. 6 hours. All right. If you're not familiar with how to set up a basic API, we recommend the following resources. I don't think I'll need those because that's what I work with for my app. Shout out to MoolaBeast. Or I guess, I don't know. Can you shout out to yourself? Anyway, my app is called MoolaBeast. Go to moolabeast.com. It's available for Android and iOS. It's a personal finance app that I built to help me manage my money, and it's powered by Python and Flask. So a little plug for my app if you want to check it out. Data source. You will be building an API that requires you to fetch data from this API. So it's an API that fetches data from another API. Blog posts. So we're going to do a GET request to this endpoint, and we've got a tag field and a description, I guess. Query parameters, so I can say what tags I want. Notice that the parameter is a query parameter. You can read more about query parameters here. An example of sending a tag parameter is, so we've got a tag parameter. I don't really understand what oh, this is just a description of, so there's only one parameter. That's kind of throwing me off. We've got one parameter called tag, so that's it. There's only one parameter. Our API can only filter one tag at a time. Notice the field tag is singular and not plural. Tag. This is plural though, so it implies you can say tag, and it's going to give you all the posts. So it's going to return some JSON here. Well, maybe I should cut the... Alright, I guess I'm going to cut the video here. I don't want to like walk through the whole thing because I think that'd kind of defeat the point. But I think it's okay to show the very, very, very first part of this assessment. I'm not going to show you my code, but they have this API. They want you to fetch some JSON from this endpoint. And I'm going to cut here, and we're going to fast forward to my submission, and I guess a review of how I did or what I thought about the quiz and how long it took me. Alright, YouTube, I'm back. It has actually been approximately 6 hours. just under 6 hours. I'm at about 5 something. I think I kind of got it working about 318 minutes or something like that. And then I had to do like little finishing touches, like I did not refactor it at all. I did delete a couple extra files, and I like put a little note in the README. What else did I do? Oh, I deleted a route that would, but there's like really ugly stuff in the code that I would have wanted to fix. But you have a 6-hour time limit, so it was really cool. It was very, it was rewarding. I mean, it took the full, took me 6 hours. Let's see, what did I get? I think I got it all working. I did not do, what did they say here? Some of the stuff I didn't get was like, they said do tests. I mean, I tested it manually. I didn't write any kind of tests because I'm not a professional. I don't really know how that works exactly. But I did test it manually to make sure it worked. And I did not do, I think they wanted you to do concurrency. Where's that on? Okay, here's what they're grading on. Completion, did that. Fundamentals, is your code efficient? I don't know. The API that I built, it seemed like acceptably fast. Like it did not seem particularly slow. Code organization and quality, that was one thing I didn't like get to kind of refactor. I had comments and stuff along the way, but there's some stuff I know they probably won't like, but whatever. Testing, I already talked about that. Speed, I came in under 6 minutes. I actually still have to upload the zip file. I think I still have enough time. What was the other thing? They said something in here about concurrency, like you get points for, like if I were to, I guess concurrency, that means like if I ran you have to request data from their API like multiple, like somebody might say I want blog posts about news and sports. So you got to like do that in 2 different requests. I did not do the requests concurrently. I did them, I guess, serially. Like I did not do it in parallel. I did one request after the other. It was not too terribly slow. The requests, it seemed to do it in under a second. You know, I think it was in the milliseconds. I know, I don't know, I've never actually done that in Python, really. I probably could have done it using like different threads and stuff, but it would have taken me a lot longer than 6 hours. So that was part, where was that? Where's the concurrency stuff? Concurrency. You get a better score on our assessment if you can make it concurrent. And then bonus 4, they have on here about caching your results. I did not do that, but that was just a bonus. So I think it's good. They ask you to take your file and zip it up. I'm not going to show any of my code or anything like that. Hatchways, where is it? Oh, it's here. All right, I got it in the zip file right here. Let's submit it. Now it says 337 minutes. So I spent, you know, almost 20 minutes messing around with stuff. Drag and drop to upload here. Okay. This file's too big. Oh, you gotta be shitting me, man. Get info. Upload a compressed folder, maximum size 5 megabytes. This is 168. I did use like a git ignore and all of that. So I think it's because I have like a virtual environment. I did not. Let's see if I can like duplicate this. I'm gonna copy it. Hope this works. We'll see if the Hatchways submission, maybe I should call it Hatchways backend assessment. Alright, so we'll try it out here. do CD hatchways backend assessment. I think I need to do, how we run this? Export Flask app. Oh. Hatchways dot. And then I'm not showing any of the source code for my submission. This is just kind of terminal stuff that you have to do to run it. So I think that's probably okay. Export. Okay. Let's, oh, I need to do. I'm going to activate this virtual environment and run the thing again just to make sure it's working. And then you go to localhost 5000 and I'll do ping. What was it? API/ping. So this is. It's one of the. Oh no! What was it called? API/. Uh-oh, it's called API/ping. That is not good for my app here. Worked a minute ago. Why is it spitting out this crazy these crazy characters? What if I do? Oh, is it? Oh, I put HTTPS. Is that why? Okay, I was using HTTPS, so that's not good. All right, so that was all that. So it looks like it's working. The other one is you do like posts. Yeah, I think that's all right. So my little API is working. Cool. Okay, so to get the size down, I guess we've got to go in and delete the virtual environment. Requirements.txt. You put this config.json, it's supposed to tell them like how to run the app. So they don't have, in my little instructions on how to run the app, it doesn't have the virtual environment. The Pi cache, I guess I can delete that. Move to trash. Alright. So let's compress this. Wait, is this the right? Oh, this is what we want, I think. Created, modified, 428. Okay. What is this one? Hatchways app. Oh, that was like a little readme that I had. Sorry if I'm taking forever to do this. I spent like 6 hours on the thing. I'll make sure I send the right zip file. Hatchways backend assessment. Let's try it now. File size is too big. Five megabytes? How small is it gotta be? Here, can I do this? Is it because I'm zipping a directory? We'll try this. I'm gonna compress these. Call this Christopher Peterson's Hatchways. Alright, this ought to work. Right? It's only 4 files I zipped. Alright, there we go. You finished your first assessment. How are we doing so far? I guess I'll give them 5 stars. But if I don't get a job, you get 1 star. Let's say, land me a job. Well, no, I always say stupid stuff. So I'm going to leave it blank, just because when in doubt, I should probably just keep my mouth shut. Alright, YouTube. I'm going to submit this here. Thanks, we love you too. Thank you, Hatchways. So, the cool thing about this compared to going and like I was ranting about earlier about having to go and learn Android for this React Native job, you know, it was going to be like a lose-lose. Because either you don't study for the Android thing for that test and then you have a couple days of anxiety not studying, or to ease your anxiety, you spend like all weekend and 20 hours learning Android again, which I'm not even doing anymore. I'm doing like React Native. So it was a lose-lose. It was either like, so this, at least this was like a little bit more work. It was 6 hours and I could have quit at any time. And it was using a technology that I'm currently like using and trying to get a job. Like I put that on my resume. That's what I use in my apps now is Python. And it was kind of educational. I learned stuff. I have all this reference code now if I need to do. The one thing that kind of hung me up that I didn't have experience doing with Python was okay, so for my app, MoolahBeast, it's a personal finance app, I talk to a server in the cloud, this Plaid banking API, to get data. But they have this cool library that you use that makes it very easy to handle all of the requests. With this assessment, you have to ping another computer. So you're building an API that talks to their API, but they don't give you like a nice little library. You're just getting raw JSON, and you have to like fiddle with that and do all that stuff. And I think I went and read through all the stuff here in the assessment, like what they ask. Not sure how much. But anyway, that is hatchways.io. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to hear back from them. Maybe if I'm lucky, it'll turn out really well, and I'll get a job. And if I get a job, then you definitely should check out hatchways.io. So let's fast forward here. I guess it's going to be like a second for you guys. It'll be like a lifetime for me. Alright, I'm back. It is actually about 1 month later. I got a little bit uninterested in working on finishing up this episode because Hatchways did not end up getting me a job. I think I finished that assessment just now that you just watched or whatnot. I think I did it on like a Friday, and the Hatchways people did get back to me like the following week or whatever. I was a little bummed out because I did everything for the most part that they asked in the assessment. They said build this API, make it do XYZ, and I made it do XYZ. I didn't do any of the bonus point stuff. I didn't write any tests, but for the most part, I did everything that they wanted me to do in the assessment, and they did not help me get a job or even like really reach back out. Other than they sent me like an automated email. Maybe they sent the email. Personally, it felt like a kind of a robotic email. I do want to pull up real quick just to summarize I put a lot of time into, or a fair amount of time into doing this episode, so I do still want to publish it. I never want to shoot a negative video on purpose. I'm only going to shoot stuff that I think might end up being good or whatnot. I'm not looking to dump on people, but I don't want people to necessarily waste their time with an assessment like that. So I'm going to put this up on YouTube anyway. One positive thing I do want to say is that I really liked the assessment that Hatchways came up with. It was very practical compared to something like Triple Byte, where they're not necessarily testing practical big picture skills. With Triple Byte, it's more computer sciencey kind of stuff. So I really liked the assessment, but they were not particularly helpful in finding me a job. But I think I maybe have a few reasons why, and I wanted to show this real quick on Crunchbase. So you can see Pathways. I believe they did YC. They did it somewhere recently. Oh wait, it's not called Pathways. I think it's called Hatchways. If I've been calling it Pathways, I'm sorry. I just wanted to finish this episode. I was like, hey, I need to finish this stupid thing up and shoot the last clip. All right, Hatchways. So they raised $150,000 from Y Combinator. And that was, so it looks like they were summer 2019. So I guess that's, I don't know, a little bit more than 6 months ago. It's now early, it's like January 2020 right now. So I don't know what their burn rate was. Let's see how many people are in the company. Does it have current team? Well, it's only one guy. So I don't know, maybe they have not ran out of money. But what you can tell here is Hatchways has not gone on to raise more money. And typically, I think if a company's doing reasonably well or is reasonably promising, they will raise money immediately after YC Demo Day, which is like, I don't know, 3 months after the program starts. So I think Hatchways, the guy here, what's his name? People? Current team? Shams Kassam? Probably butchered his name. Anyway, I think he had a good idea. I like his assessment, but it looks like the tricky part with something like Hatchways is you actually have to go, after you've identified the people, you have to go and find these people jobs. So one way I guess you could look at it is like, hey, maybe I'm not good enough to get a job, or since I finished the guy's assessment. I think what's more likely, or at least in my opinion, is that he's having trouble actually finding people jobs. So anyway, I don't really know how to end this other than Hatchways, they have not gone on to raise more money. I think they're having trouble placing people and getting people jobs. I would not take their assessment unless you just want to do it for fun. It takes about 6 hours. You could probably reuse some of the code if you need it. I don't know. I'm going to give them a thumbs down. That makes me feel kind of bad, but I actually went and got an interview at a startup since taking that assessment on my own. So I don't think I did not get the job yet, or did not get that particular job. I haven't gotten a job yet, but I think, I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's easier. You can just get yourself a job. You don't need one of these startups to help you. I know Lambda School looks pretty interesting. I'm sure there's lots of content out there on the internet on how good Lambda School is at landing people jobs. I know a lot of YouTubers, they cut rambling and stuff like that out. I am lazy. I'm not going to cut the rambling out. But that's it for this episode of Misadventures in Startups and my review on Hatchways.io. First episode of the new decade. I'll see you guys next time on Misadventures in Startups.